go. So, I'll open it. It's all chains. Because that's like the things that take the longest to dry. Because I bisque the first ones, then I add the second one, so then it's like 2, and they're solid. And this I made a long time ago, like a year ago. And it's just been sitting around. And I don't know what it is, but I like it. They're like clown beads or something.
They are cool. They are. They're cool.
Yeah.
How did you get to the objects that you're making? Like, what got you to like the chains and the shape?
You know, the chains I was in LA and I saw an old iron boat chain, like just laying there. And I was like, oh, that's a cool thing. And I took a picture of it. But like literally, I don't think I made a chain until 2 years later. And then, you know, you're just thinking of, oh, okay, I have a show coming up. What do I want to do? Oh yeah, let's do those chains. So it just kind of grows. How are those? Not bad. Could be a little thicker, but it's fine. They look fine. I mean, unloading is always exciting. Oh yeah, this is why I do this. But then, if it's messed up and things aren't working, then you're just like, why am I doing this? How's that? Cracked?
No, how do you...
Lightly just tap it. Oh, lots of chains. It's exciting. It's kind of like you like stir the pot and stir the pot, which is like by reading or watching movies or walking around. You're looking for inroads, you know, like, oh, look, there's a little gap, and that's a good, you know, just like this little glimmer of an idea, and then you kind of follow that. So like think when you're in your process, it's kind of an ongoing thread, you know, like you could kind of pull it and pull it. And also my thing I keep saying is that I'm designing for my big barn, my big renovated barn in the country that I don't have, but in my mind, or I'm making things for my huge tree in my yard to hang from, or to put in my, you know, it's like,
you don't have
it's
yet.
my fantasy life. Yeah, it's totally my fantasy. 3 or 4 years, I was at Greenwich House just making and taking a lot of classes. And then I got my own studio. All I remember is that I felt like I had a whole year at the studio where I felt like I was hitting my head against a wall. Not creatively. Creatively, I was like excited and this is great. But every time I thought about, oh wait, okay, I'm going to need to make a living doing this, you know, so how am I going to sell it? Where am I going to sell it? What am I going to sell? How much does it cost? All of those things, like I felt like I was really just like kept coming, like I'd go forward and there'd be a brick wall, you know, it was just like, oh no, and then I come back. And I felt like I did that for like a whole year. I was making garlands of beads. Oh, I was obsessed with making them. And they were going to hang in trees and be like these like offerings that you see from a distance, and like with the changing environment and the seasons, you know, and people would ask me questions. What are you making? What are they? What are they for? And for some reason I didn't want to explain them. I had like a block. I don't really want to explain them. They're just garlands of ceramic beads. And then one day I made some bells. I had some bells hanging around like that I'd had at my old studio, of these metal bells from India and Tibet, and had them on the door. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna make some bells. Let me make some bells. So then I just made some jingle bells. And then we had a holiday sale and people loved them. People like bought all of them. I didn't have to talk about it. I didn't have to explain it. Everyone could just look at it and have their own relationship with it. It meant something to them. That actually was like an inroad into, oh, I'm just gonna like make bells. I'm gonna make bells, lots of bells. Let's just make lots of bells.
I also really like that you walk this line between like super function and high art. It's this place where it's meaningful, but it's somewhere in between.
Yeah, I don't really know where it is actually either. I had a friend of mine who was a painter, and he was like, you should just find a gallery and make this really huge and do this and that. And that's what he would do. I think that's not the world that I know. And I also didn't think it was, I would have to kind of go further down that art road and really develop my conceptual ideas more, and that's a different cake. But when I made jewelry, it was like that too, because when we started, it was either big beaded pieces that were not fine jewelry, or there was fine jewelry. And we were in a weird middle ground. I feel like I'm kind of in that weird same realm.
Yeah.
Like I'm not functional,
Yeah.
but I'm not fine art in the fact that I'm making one-of-a-kind things. I'm kind of reproducing my work in a commercial realm, you know, and making it to order. Although lately I've been, you know, the bigger pieces, the custom wall hangings, I've been doing a lot of those. So yeah, it's kind of evolving. So I have to kind of be aware of where I want to grow. If I am going to grow, like which areas I'm nurturing to grow. And all of these things, they all happen in a different way in your own life. They're just, because we call them business, everyone goes, ooh, poo, poo, business. But actually, I've learned that business can be really creative. It's a creative function. It's a creative act of learning how to run a business and make it work and keep yourself like open to know, oh, look, this, it's like the inroads. Like, oh, wait, this is getting really busy over here. I need somebody else to help, or else I'm not going to be able to deliver like I said I did, or I'm going to be like pulling my hair out. I think I like the idea of keeping my work somewhat local. And people are always saying to me, why don't you get it made in over there, over there, over there? And I'm like, but that's not really why I started this. I started this to like make my work and, you know, have production artists who are artists. I'm very conscious of how much I pay them, and I always try to, as I grow, pay people more because they're skilled laborers. And New York is expensive. It's expensive to live here. So people should be rewarded, and that's another thing that goes into the cost. The whole Buddhist, Hindu, spiritual overtones kind of come from, you know, just really reading a lot of books and looking at art, Buddhist, Indian, Tibetan art, and also just the connection to the symbols. It can be just enough to make something worth making. Like I made daggers, which I never would have made daggers. First of all, my daughter made a dagger at the studio, and I was like, that's one cool thing, you know, that's awesome, but like, what am I going to make a dagger for? And then I was reading, and one of the bodhisattvas, Manjushri, he holds a dagger in his hand, and I was just like, oh, daggers, cool. So what does a dagger mean? It cuts through illusion, and then you read all this stuff, and oh, it gives me like kind of a reason to be in a way. Then I can get lost in like the process, and I can add things and get into the aesthetic or the visual and all that other stuff. You know, just the idea of trying to create work that inspires people to remember who they want to be in a way. Like, oh, my best self. Like, I'm trying to make things that bring a certain amount of joy, or that moment where you're just kind of in awe of what's happening, like that part of life. And to like maybe have like, oh, this object that brings you back there for just like a second. It's like a story, you know, like some person's looking out their kitchen window, washing the dishes, and oh, there's this strand of beads in the tree, and how does it make them feel, and what does it look like, and what does it look like in 6 months, and what does it do for them when they look at it? You know, that was like the story. But I do know that like when I make things, a lot of inspiration and decisions come from actually just being in that state of like making things. When I need to make new things and I'm stuck, I make old things. I go, okay, wait, I'm not gonna stress out. I'm just gonna make what I know. And then while I'm making what I know, ideas come up for things that I don't know. So that's like a little doorway. I just have to like put myself in that state of where my mind is busy. It's like knitting, you know, I put myself in that state where my mind is busy, but it's stuff's happening over there, you know, and your hands are busy and you start thinking about things.